Hey everyone, this is Devin. This is week 4 of lab. We will be doing the dogfish shark internal anatomy. Please make sure to take notes because these structures that you see on the screen and those that I talk about will be included in the quiz next week. Alright, let's get into it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert the blade at the top and not slip. It's kind of hard to though with the placoid scales. Pull it down, straight across, real gentle. Because I do not want to go too deep, otherwise I won't be able to show you the muscle striation. So the tool right here I'm using is for, helps with skinning, helps you be able to get a little bit of area underneath without using something that's going to just ruin all the muscle. You're trying to just remove the skin, but see, the trick is to not rip any of the muscle up because it will not allow you to see what we're trying to uncover right here, which still hidden underneath a little bit of connective tissue, but it will still allow us to see what we are trying to, or what I'm trying to show you. Okay, so let me remove a little bit more, just ever so carefully. Just remove this connective tissue. Less is always more when it comes to dissection, because you can always remove more, but once you go too deep, you're kind of screwed for that area. All right. That should be good enough. Okay. So after scanning it, what I wanted to show you was the myomeres and the myoseptum. The orange right here, or the yellow, is the myomeres, and in between each myomere, the white right here is a myoseptum. This separates each myomere, and the myomeres are the muscle, and the myoseptums are more of a connective tissue. You can see right here, if I can pull it up, it's a bit stronger than the muscles, which I'm just able to easily dent with my tool right here. But these, you really have to dig underneath, and to pull up requires a bit more. So from the top, the dorsal and the ventral side is separated, like for muscles, is separated right here, this big chunky white part. This is the horizontal septum, which separates the dorsal myomeres and myoseptums from the ventral, which you can kind of see a little bit right here. The ventral myomeres and myoseptum. These also run in a different pattern than what's on top. Almost like they come together like this, all the way down, kind of like a V. All right, next what I want to show you guys is just one muscle in particular. And depending on this shark, maybe if we have anything more clear, I can show you something else. But what I mainly want to show you is this big cheek muscle right here called the abductor mandibulae. The abductor mandibulae here closes the Meckel's cartilage, which is the bottom row of teeth right here. The top is called the palatoquadrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from right here, starting near the spiracle. I'm going to just slice it through carefully. And then, so I can kind of see where the shape of the abductor is, so I'm going to go a little bit beyond that right here. Dig in, go down, and then meet up near the edge of the mouth. Okay, again, going to get our skinning tool. It's in there. A few minutes. Okay. So right here, this big cheek muscle right here, that is the abductor mandibulae. And you know what? I'm going to remove a little bit more just so you guys can get a better picture of what's exactly going on here. see, we can even see a little bit of the gills right here. But yeah, that's the abductor mandibulae, which closes the bottom jaw or the Meckel's cartilage. Yeah. Since we're already here, let's move on to the gills. Now, it's going to focus on a few structures in the gills. We're just going to open up the gill slits right here fully, and hopefully I can get you a good look at just a few parts of the gill. Here we have the primary gill filaments. The primary gill filaments are connected to the gill arch. The top of the gill arch is called the epibrachial cartilage, and the bottom of the gill arch is called the ceratobrachial cartilage. Now getting on the inside. So someone else came earlier and I let them work on this shark and it turned out being a pretty good shark to show you the interior. So I won't be able to show you the first cuts that we made, but all these sharks that we get already have an incision all the way down the middle. But what we did was we cut right here above the pectoral fins, and then right above the pelvic fins right here we made another incision. So opening up the shark. The first structure that should really pop out to you is the livers right here. Now when I say livers, it's because this is a 3-lobed liver. I'm going to show you each lobe right now. So remember, when we're doing anatomy and we're looking down at something, we got to flip the orientation of where certain organs are. So when you're looking down at this, you might be thinking, okay, well, you know, my left hand's over here, so this must be the left liver. It's just like when you're learning the different parts of the heart, they're flipped. So this is actually the right lobe of the liver, and this is actually the left lobe of the liver. And the middle, right here, now where is it? Here it is. This little bitty piece is the medial lobe of the liver. So it's 3 lobes, 1, 2, and 3. And this, you know, these are so big because sharks need to make a ton of oil to help keep them buoyant because they don't have a swim bladder. And so it's also, you know, what makes them so oily, and as you can tell from the last video. Okay, so getting the livers out of the way, let's first focus on the stomach. So right here we have the cardiac portion of the stomach, and above that, up in here, is the esophagus. Now if this was a male, we would see the testes up in here. The testes are up in the chest, but with females, their ovaries are actually up in the chest. So that's what this is right here. Right here, this is the ovary. Now, this must be a younger female or a female that hasn't reproduced yet, because sometimes you'll have, you'll see eggs in here, and the oviduct will actually be a lot more visible. I honestly tried this shark and I tried another one, couldn't find the oviduct because it's probably so flat and hasn't had anything go through it yet. So it hasn't had a chance to really separate. But normally you'd follow that all the way down the oviduct over into the uterus. And we've pulled out eggs before in labs that I've done. And unfortunately, I won't be able to show you all that because these sharks just don't. This is not visible in these sharks, and you know that happens. Okay, so returning back to the stomach before I went on that tangent. Yeah, so right here we have the cardiac portion of the stomach. And so you can kind of see it if I flip the shark this way. Let me just make sure y'all can see it. Okay, so see where it pinches right here? That is called the greater curvature of the stomach. So just before we move any further, cardiac portion of the stomach goes up here, and one part I forgot to mention is the body of the stomach. So you can just kind of imagine that that's just like the, you know, main part of the stomach. You have the cardiac portion, which kind of goes up into the heart right here. So the heart, which you can't see, is underneath this plate right here. And we'll go over that another time. But, oh, here, now we can actually see it. So, iliac portion of the stomach, body of the stomach, and then the greater curvature of the stomach is where it kind of pinches off right here. So going down, you have the lesser curvature of the stomach, and then right when you're going up, right here, this is the pyloric portion of the stomach. And then you come around, but before we go all the way down over there, right here, I have to mention one thing that is like, even in person, it's hard to see. Right here, you might just think that this is another part of the stomach, but actually it's sitting on top of the stomach right here. And it's this section right here. I'm gonna try to get underneath it so you can see it better. Bring it to the middle. So right here, I'm pulling it up. This is actually the ventral lobe of the pancreas, but I'm not gonna have you guys know which lobe is which for the pancreas. Just know this right here is the pancreas, which will make the next part make more sense is if we lift this up right here. So pancreas is here, and then underneath, or like right above it, we have the pyloric sphincter. Now we have a pyloric sphincter as well, and this is what separates the intestine, the stomach from the intestine. Now, right after the pyloric sphincter, so right here, before it goes down into the intestine, we have what is called the duodenum, or the duodenum, as some people call it. Now, you don't really need to know the functions of, or like, the physiology. That's what vert physiology is for. But the duodenum is for right when the pyloric sphincter opens up and starts letting chyme through, which is the broken down bits of food that the stomach does. Because if you don't know already, the stomach is not for absorbing nutrients. It is for breaking down nutrients into more accessible molecules. And so what the duodenum does is the duodenum gets information from the chyme, and it lets the different parts of the body, including the pancreas, know, okay, we need to secrete this and that in order to absorb these nutrients. And so it's kind of like the sensory part before getting into the intestine, which really does all the main, which it does do all the main absorption of nutrients. Backtracking a little bit, over here by the lesser curvature of the stomach, there's another organ right here. This here is the spleen. The best way for me when I was memorizing this stuff was I just knew that the spleen was cupping the turn of the stomach right here, or it was in line with the lesser curvature of the stomach. It's this gray portion, but just know it kind of makes this C shape around the lesser curvature of the stomach. So that is the spleen. So moving down to this big bag right here, this is the valvular intestine. Now, it is called the valvular intestine because throughout this entire thing is a spiral valve that makes different sections of this. So imagine, it digests as a fish, turns into chyme, and it goes down into here. It's like a corkscrew almost. It goes through and it's different valves. It's sectioned off, which increases the surface area, which allows more nutrients to be absorbed. It's this whole bag right here. Actually, I think there's a certain portion of it that is cut open right here. Now we're going to expand this a little bit more just so you can see more of it. So see all the different valves? So as food's going down, it's going through the different valves, getting absorbed, all the way until the end. And so that's why we call it a valvular intestine, because of the spiral valves that go throughout it. Now, one thing that I also need to mention is this bag, like connective tissue looking stuff right here. Here, let me give you a better angle. There you go. See this whole bag, all this? This here is called the greater omentum, or the mesogaster. But just know that's called the greater omentum. It's this bag. It's kind of connecting and holds everything in. Again, that is the greater omentum. All right, and at the very end right here, we have this. This right here is the rectal gland, and you can see the artery right here that supplies blood to it. We'll go over all these fun veins and arteries and all that jazz later on, because that stuff gets complex. As you can see, there's a lot. And you guys are really lucky because we had to memorize those and didn't have any notes. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention. Right here, you have the bile duct, and this supplies bile to the intestine, as you can see. And I think that is it for today. I will be giving you guys the checklist soon of what to study for this, and some pictures and maybe some videos to help kind of get a better idea. I also want to share some videos of these guys when they're alive, because it's kind of depressing just watching everything when it's dead, it's getting carved up, especially if you've never seen them when they're alive, so you can't really get a full appreciation of the animal. So just keep it up, study hard, and I will get you these materials as soon as possible. All right, have a good day.